Yo, what is going on YouTube? This is T-Rob from T-Rob Beats, and today I'm doing a tutorial video showing you guys how I make my emotional melodies not sound repetitive and loop-like. A lot of times I hear producers, and especially producers who are just starting out, who they tend to come up with the pattern for their melody and they'll just loop that pattern throughout the entire beat. And a lot of times that works, but for me, when I'm sending beats out for placements and to bigger producers and artists, I find what works for me most is when my melodies are unpredictable and they have some sort of variation within the melody itself. So in this tutorial video, I want to show you guys some elements that you can use in your own melodies to make them not sound predictable and will help them in the long run. So make sure you guys hit this video with the likes up. It really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel, and be sure to get my most recent Melody Kit Soul Cry 2. And with all that talking, let's get right into the tutorial. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and set my BPM. And usually for me, when I'm making my beats and melodies, it's easier to set my BPM a little lower, like the 160 range. And then like as we progress through the melody, you're going to see me boost it up. Alright, 165 is cool. And last tutorial video, I was explaining to you guys a little bit about relative majors. And so for this video, we're going to be in the key of G sharp minor. And the relative major of G sharp minor is B major. And what I mean by that is when you, the G sharp minor scale pattern, which is this. All of those same notes are in B major. So B major has the exact same notes as G sharp minor. That's why it's called its relative major. So when you play B major scale, realize how it's the same exact notes that we played in the G sharp minor. It's just, it sounds major because it's a major scale. Enough of the music theory stuff. Let's go ahead and start the tutorial. So I'm just gonna start by laying down a quick 3-chord progression, nothing too fancy or anything like that, and we're just gonna build around from that. I think I messed up somewhere, but so we're just gonna start off with this, nothing too fancy or anything like that. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna copy and paste this pattern, and I'm gonna duplicate this, but because the goal of what we're trying to do here is not make our melody sound repetitive and loop-like, I wanna change the second pattern to make it sound slightly different from this first one, just so it's not, again, sounding repetitive throughout. So what you're gonna see me do here is I'm just gonna move some notes slightly and play around with it a little bit, just so that it doesn't sound exactly like this one. Okay, and so that's pretty solid for the first part of this melody that we want to do. So now what I'm going to do to even keep our melody progressing, so that even that over time will get boring. So we want to keep the melody interesting. So we're going to copy and paste this, and I'm going to create another pattern, and I'm just going to, pattern 2 is fine. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy and paste what we just did, and I'm going to pitch it down. And you're going to notice how when I drag these patterns into the arrangement channel, the second pattern, because it's switched down, is going to sound slightly different. It's going to give it a completely different sound from this first pattern, and it's going to be just a change in the way it sounds overall. And so now for the second pattern, I'm even gonna play around with this some more. You're just gonna see me here, play with some notes, just to make the second pattern even slightly different from the first pattern, even though it's already pitched down an octave. Okay, and so that's pretty much how we're gonna leave the piano. And so now to even make our melodies, even splice up our melodies a little bit more, I'm just gonna duplicate this so it's a little bit longer, but to make it even more interesting, what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna fool around with some vocals in Arcade. And so I'm just gonna pull up some of my, close out of this piano, I'm gonna pull up some of my favorite vocals that I like to use in Arcade. And you're gonna just see me go through some of them and just kind of pick out which ones I like, and then we'll go from there. G sharp minor. So I do like both of these, but I don't want them playing back to back. So what I like to do with my melodies a lot of times, and you'll see me do this in my tutorial videos and also the beats that I put out on my channel, is I'll actually chop sections of this specific vocal. So what we're gonna do is I'm just gonna copy and paste this. So I'm gonna clone this. And for the first one, go to pattern 2 because I went on pattern 2. And so for the first vocal, I only want this part, and then the second pattern, I'm only going to take the second part. So you're going to see me do that right now. And then I'm going to add in for the second one. Like I said, I only want the second part of the second one, so when it records, it's just going to record this second part. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and go to the first pattern, and I'm gonna add even a different vocal because again I want to keep it interesting. Like I don't want those two vocals playing throughout the entire thing. So I'm gonna create another Arcade, and I'm just gonna put it on channel 2 as well. Okay, I kind of like that first one. So we're gonna add this vocal pattern, or this vocal chop to the first pattern. And so the last thing that I'm gonna do to make my melody interesting is I'm gonna again I'm gonna use the same vocals that we already have, but I'm gonna create a different pattern. I'm gonna take out this pattern 1, and I'm just gonna copy and paste this. And I'm just gonna name this switch up, or just switch. And what you're gonna see me do with the vocals here is I'm just gonna play around with this specific vocal that we just laid down for pattern 1, and you're just gonna see me kind of chop with it and play with it some more, just to give it like a different sound or a different kind of feeling when it hits this pattern. And I'm just gonna record and kind of like freestyle and play with it a little bit. So I like to do things like that, like to add a sort of bounce to my vocals so that they're not just so dry. Like you hear how it's kind of like chopped up, and I don't know, it's kind of different a little bit. And so that's pretty much it for the melody. And so a lot of times, you guys, I really will sit there and like just kind of lay a template for which vocals I want to use. Like I won't even make the beat or make the melody. I'll just pick out like a handful of vocals that I like, and then like the next time I come back to making a melody, I'll just use those vocals. But that's pretty much how I would go about arranging the melody. And so now what I'm quickly going to do here, just so you guys can get a feel for what the full beat would sound like, is I'm just going to start adding some percussion really quickly. And so that's obviously like a really fast way of how to do drums. I obviously do not make my drums this fast at all, and this doesn't really sound too great, but the drums aren't the point of this video. The point is that I really wanted to show you guys how you can increase making your melodies and make them sound better but not also predictable. I tried to cover, you know, some note variation. I tried to show you guys how you can change different octaves from your pianos to make them more interesting, and then also how you can chop up your vocals at different spots using the same vocals to make them sound even more interesting. So I hope that you guys were able to take something from it, and be sure to hit this video with the thumbs up because it really helps with the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel. And that's all I got for you guys. T-Rock Beats out.